President Trump, he's been in office for 5 days, count them, but has it been like a game of three-card Monte? Then, the president meets with fellow Republicans in Philadelphia today. Was there brotherly love or a brewing civil war? Then the community weighs in on the closure of Indian Point. Some, they're for it, some opposing it. Will explain the stakes for our entire area. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French, and we start tonight with a commentary on what can only be considered a surreal 5 days. You know, earlier this afternoon, I was catching up with a friend who said, "You guys must be having a ball with all that's happening with Trump." The truth is, a ball isn't exactly how I described the primetime melodrama playing out on live TV and, of course, Twitter. Like the rest of you, I cannot believe what I'm seeing, let alone begin to calculate the consequences. So let's try and make sense of this together, and let's think about what we've been thrown at just the 5 days. My God, it has only been 5 days. Now, in no particular order, and yes, I'm going to mean every word I say here literally. This is not opinion. All of this is fact. Our new president, he's followed through on his election night promise of bringing America together by doing the following: blatantly lying about his inaugural crowd size, then destroying his press secretary's credibility by forcing him to call an impromptu press conference, then angrily repeated said lie in front of a dumbfounded press corps. Trump, he then lied, of course, about the election results, claiming 3 to 5 million votes in this country were cast illegally. That delegitimizes, by the way, not only his own victory, but results of elections on November 8th across this country. Now, I should mention, no one agrees with him. Not a single state election commissioner had certified the races, most of them, by the way, Republicans, or, for that matter, national Republican leadership, or the author of the Pew Report that he sourced, who says he has no idea what Trump is talking about. And by the way, not even Trump's own attorneys who fought recount efforts claiming that the election was fairly conducted and fairly counted. So the lies, though, were just getting started. Now, how about those campaign promises like, I don't know, building a wall along the border and Mexico picking up the tab? Remember that one? Well, today, the Mexican president reiterated, no way, no how, not ever. So as a consequence, a scheduled meeting between Trump and the Mexican president has been canceled. We, the American taxpayers, by the way, will be footing the bill if that wall gets built. And now, this afternoon promises a trade war from your president, Donald Trump, as a consequence. This is awesome. Now, remember those tax returns we were promised after the seemingly never-ending audit was resolved with the IRS? Now, our chief executive tells us this week, under unprecedented conflicts of interest, by the way, he will not turn them over because he says nobody wants to see it, even though polls say 3/4 of the country says they do. Well, how about another promise? That he wouldn't repeal Obamacare without a replacement. Not so much. Well, your guess is as good as mine what happens next. But how about asking governors, including Republicans, if they're not freaking out right now about the deliberate disorder that's about to occur to their residents? It goes on. His denigration of service and tastelessness has caused an insurrection in the State Department this afternoon, with mass turnover and resignations as well as terminations. Now, remember how Obama was an imperialist, his words, for his use of executive orders? Somehow, I guess that's not the case if they're signed by King Twitter instead of the last guy in the Oval Office. Now, all this bizarro world was crystallized earlier this week when Kellyanne Conway, who has told us that we shouldn't take literally what her boss says, those her words, that this White House was merely introducing, and again, this is a quote, alternative facts. Let me attempt to opine now and give you a translation. Their point? We're going to offer our own take on reality when our boss throws a tantrum, and you, the people, should grade us on a curve. Finally, if there were any holdouts out there that says, hey, you know what, Trump, he's merely finding his sea legs here, I give you game, set, match. Steve Bannon, remember him, the alt-right architect who came on the campaign, helped turn it around, led him to a victory? He is now the chief White House strategist with, by most accounts, the closest voice to Trump's ear. He told the Times last night that the press was, quote, the opposition party who needed to, quote, keep its mouth shut and listen, end quote. Moreover, he told them that they didn't understand America, but the folks in the White House did. It has been 5 days, my friends, and like the rest of you, I have no idea where we go from here. But I would be lying if I said I wasn't more than a little bit worried. All right, thank you for listening on that front. When we come back, in front of cameras, President Trump and the GOP, they play nice, but we're hearing accounts here that behind closed doors, it could be a very different story. Stay with us.